First contact without a handshake. The desert was silent when the plane landed. No warning, no sonic boom, just the rumble of sand like something big settling on the dunes. The impact registered on seismographs from Algiers to Riyadh, a local earthquake that shouldn't have existed. Satellites captured the result, a sleek, obsidian wedge half buried in the desert, its surface swallowing sunlight like a black hole. Dr. Elena Vasquez was in Geneva when the first images appeared on her screen. She leaned in, her fingers hovering over the grainy thermal scan. "It's not a meteor," she muttered. Across the room, Major Daniel Carter crossed his arms. "Then what is it?" Elena zoomed in. The edges of the object were very precise, its shape very deliberate, something that wasn't made here. Campaign. 48 hours later, a UN convoy sped into the desert, equipped with hazmat suits and enough sensors to map a small moon. Elena adjusted her respirator as the armored transport climbed the dunes. Outside, the heat was a living thing, turning the air into liquid mirages. Carter sat down beside her, checking her side, arm out of habit. "Do you really think this is an alien?" Elena didn't look up from her tablet. "I don't think it's human. Beyond that? No idea." The truck stopped. Outside, the ship was descending. Long up close, its surface impossibly smooth. No seams, no markings. Just darkness. A soldier whistled. "There's no door. How do we get in?" The ground shook as if in response. A crack opened in the ship's hull, emanating a shimmering, silvery blue gas. The gas swirled toward them like a living fog. Elena's Geiger counter remained silent, but her portable spectrometer rose. "It's changing the composition of the local air," she said. "The nitrogen levels are—" A soldier coughed, then another. One fell to his knees, a claw at his throat. "Fall back." Carter barked as the gas spread, dragging Elena along. The men were choking, veins boiling beneath their skin. By the time the medics reached them, their lungs had hemorrhaged. Elena looked at the bodies, then at the ship. "It's not here to talk," she whispered. "It's here to change us." And the wind was blowing east. Poison sky. World reaction. News of the desert's death spread faster than an alien gas. Within hours, global markets crashed. Conspiracy networks screamed about bioweapons. Governments scrambled to contain panic and the truth. Satellite feeds showed a glowing blue wave creeping outward from the ship, a slow but steady wave. Elena Vasquez watched the chaos unfold from a makeshift UN bunker below Algiers. The screens flickered with data, each update worse than the last. "It's not just nitrogen triodide," she said, circling molecular diagram. "It's a catalyst. It's rewriting our environment, minute by minute." Across the table, Major Carter scoffed at the live feed of protesters storming a research facility in Cairo. "We need to bomb this thing before it gets out of control." Elena shook her head. "We don't even know if the explosives will work or if it will backfire." A technician snapped. "The gas just hit a village 200 kilometers east. Casualties yesterday." Silence. Scientific gamble. Elena's team began working in shifts, racing to decode the alien chemistry. The lab rats that had been detecting the gas died within minutes, their blood filling with unnatural compounds. Then a breakthrough. "It binds to hemoglobin," Elena muttered, adjusting her microscope. "But look here, this synthetic chelating agent * breaks the bond." She held up a vial of murky liquid. "We can neutralize it, but we have to do a lot of it and fast." Carter glanced at the vial. "What's the catch?" "The key ingredient is yttrium. There's only one mine with enough raw or Inner Mongolia." A voice rang out over the commissar, General Lefebvre, from Geneva. "We've authorized an airstrike at dawn. Evacuate all personnel." Elena pounded her fist on the table. "This is suicide. We have a solution." "No more time," Lefebvre said. "The ship's stench is getting stronger. We'll lose the Nile Basin next. Strike." They watched from the drone feed as the missiles spread across the desert. Explosions lit up the night. Then the ship's hull flickered like matches on steel. The black surface didn't even burn. No damage done. Then, as if annoyed, the ship reacted. The panels opened. Drones the size of cars emerged, humming with terrifying precision. They darted skyward, then out, not toward the bombers, but toward the horizon. New environmental readings, a technician shouted. Oxygen levels are dropping within a 500-kilometer radius. The drones are accelerating the process. Elena's stomach dropped. It wasn't just defending itself. We just annoyed it. Carter grabbed his rifle. Then we'll go the old-fashioned way. Decision. Elena pulled him aside. Even if you get close, you can't shoot chemistry. We'll set up charges. Blow it up from the inside. And what if it's shielded there too? Or what if it decides to fever the continent? He lowered his voice. There's another way. We use an yttrium compound, aerosolize it, disperse it directly into the ship's systems. But we need to get inside. Carter glared at him. You're talking about a suicide mission. No, I'm talking about an alien terraformer hacking. He tapped his tablet, pulling out the schematics. Look, these exhaust ports aren't for heat. They're intake valves. They breathe. And if we can make it our own way to breathe, maybe we'll succeed. The wind was blowing outside. The gas was getting closer. Carter exhaled. Who's crazy enough to try? Elena smiled angrily. I know a guy. His name is Captain Ryland Cole, she said, tapping the screen. The hollow-eyed man in the old flight suit looked back. Former United Nations aerospace. Grounded after a radiation leak fried his nerves. The doctors gave him 6 months. That was 4 months ago. Carter crossed his arms. You want a dying man to help us with this thing? He's the only pilot crazy enough to try. Elena lowered her voice. And he has nothing left to lose. Cole arrived an hour later, walking like a man who was already half a ghost. But when Elena explained the mission, his fingers squirming from nerve damage. You're telling me I can save the world by spitting in the eye of death? A cracked smile. Where do I sign? Infiltration plan. The ship's drones had extended their reach. Satellite maps now showed vast swaths of Africa and the Middle East under a pale blue haze. Respiratory distress shook flooded hospitals from Dhaka to Delhi. Elena briefed the team in the hangar, pointing to the holographic schematic. The ship's exhaust ports are actually intake vents, filtering our environment, changing it. We go in here. She highlighted a narrow channel. Cole is to drop us off at the entrance, then wait to be evacuated. Carter's team secures the way. I'll deliver the counteragent directly into his circulatory system. Cole whistled. This is a one-way trip for your squad, Doctor. Not if we move quickly. Carter checked his rifle. In and out before they know we're there. Elena picked up the canister of yttrium solution. And if we fail, humanity will be wiped out in a week. Dawn turned the desert red with blood as Cole's modified stealth helicopter scanned the dunes. The ship moved forward, its surface swallowing up the light. Take heart, Cole muttered. Then he dove carelessly between the drone patrol paths. The helicopter shuddered as it scraped against the ship's hull and came to a stop near a vent. Carter's team cut down the vent cover with plasma torches. Inside, the walls were streaked with bioluminescent veins, as if the ship were alive. Elena's Geiger counter shot up. They're not just machines here, she whispered. This is augmented like this. A sudden rumble. The sides of the vent burst. Move! Carter urged him forward as the vent closed behind them. The heart of the machine. The interior was a cathedral of alien life. Massive organic pillars throbbing with fluid, membranes filtering the air through fractal patterns. Then came the voice. Unauthorized presence. The walls shudder, spewing out shards of black metal. Carter's team opened fire, useless. 2 soldiers' slithering tendrils shot out before they retreated. Elena huddled behind the pillar, gasping. This isn't just a ship. It's a terraforming organism. Carter dragged her up. So where's its off switch? A pulse of light ahead. The central chamber, a vast sphere where gases swirled in a controlled storm. The intake hub. Elena ran for it, canister in hand. The ship's voice boomed again. Compliance ensures survival. Resistance is illogical. He didn't stop. Elena's boots skidded on organic plating as she darted toward the swirling storm of gases at the heart of the ship. The walls throbbed around her, veins of bioluminescent fluid throbbing like something alive. Behind her, Carter and the last two soldiers opened fire against the encroaching tendrils, buying her seconds, not minutes. The end of the intervention is near, the ship's voice boomed. She skidded to a stop at the edge of the central chamber. Below her, a vortex of altered atmosphere swirled, fed by large ducts that sucked in Earth's air and expelled the poison. This is where we'll finish her off. Elena armed the dispersal unit on the yttrium canister, just as a whip-like tendril curled around her ankle in ink. She hung upside down over the chasm, the canister slipping from her grasp. Carter's rifle echoed, once, twice, and the tendril snapped. Elena fell to her feet on the platform before she spun around in the void of the canister. Then the ship spoke again, but this time the voice flickered, almost uncertain. Question: why do you resist? Elena froze. Carter stared. It talks, a soldier muttered. Elena wiped the blood from her lips. It's not just a machine. It's reasoning. She stood up slowly, addressing the air. Because you're killing us. Irrelevant. This world was made to reproduce. The native fauna are unintelligent. Carter snarled. Tell that to my dead. Elena's mind reeled. It thinks we're animals. He pulled his tablet from his pack, fingers flying. You want data? Here's data. He uploaded everything. Human history, art, equality, the cries of the dead outside, directly into the ship's systems. Processing. The tendrils retracted. The gas vortex stuttered. Choice asterisk asterisk. The ship was silent for 3 heartbeats. Then, anomaly confirmed. The voice was different now, almost shocked. You're not animals, you're creator. Asterisk. Elena didn't relax. Then stop. Directional conflict. The ship's lights dimmed. This unit can't finish the primary task, but can adapt. The vortex reversed. Outside, the drones froze in midair. The blue haze began to tremble, then fade, the glowing ribbons pulling her back toward the ship. Carter grabbed Elena's arm. What's it doing? She watched the readout grow. It's undoing the changes, recycling the toxins. Warning, the ship entered. Self-destruct sequence initiated. This unit cannot obey its original orders. It will not harm those who created it. The alarm went off. The organic walls began to peel. Oh, Carter urged Elena toward the vent. The soldiers moved forward as the chamber collapsed behind them, the ship consuming itself in a burst of violet energy. They barely reached the helicopter. Cole didn't wait for orders. He shot the engine as the last boat hit the skid. The ship exploded as they shot skyward, a black metal silence and withered light. No explosion, no shockwave, just nothing where the demonic was. Elena watched through the window as the last of the blue wave faded from the sky. Below, the desert was scarred but alive. Cole coughed, smiling. So we won. Carter slumped in his seat, staring at his bloody hands. Yes, we won. 3 weeks later, Elena stood in the United Nations General Assembly, sunlight filtering through new layers of ozone. The world was slowly healing. She placed the data drive on the podium. The ship wasn't bad. It was following the orders of a civilization that had died out 1,000 years ago. The screen behind her lit up with the last transmission the ship had broadcast into deep space. A repeating pulse. They knew we were here now, he said. So we sent our own message. The vote was unanimous. That night, a new signal left the Earth. Not a plea, not a warning. An announcement. Asterisk. This is our world. We decide its future. Asterisk. Here's something somewhere in the darkness.